What up, everybody? Good afternoon, morning, or evening, depending on where you are. Shark Party here, and today we are initiating or starting this new segment I like to call Taco Tuesdays or Let's Talk About It Tuesdays. This is the first one ever, so the intro is going to be much longer than all of the next ones, all the sequential ones. And just to start off right now, chat is active, so we can put a message in there. And this is, I realized that people listening to recordings, or if I eventually wanted to make these into like YouTube videos, that the chat doesn't go with the video, of course. And so I'm just kind of chatting to maybe someone in the, or I myself am talking to someone in the chat, and someone viewing the recording or maybe seeing this on YouTube would not be able to actually follow the conversation. So now I'm going to have the conversations appearing on all my streams. Today's stream is going to have zero gaming. Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm going to start streaming segments. So today is that initiation of one of those segments called Taco Tuesdays. I'm going to be streaming segments without gaming at all. I'm just going to be talking about either science, that's Science Fridays. You can read more about Science Fridays below in my About if you're on Twitch. If you're listening to this on YouTube or a different platform, I don't know what else, on my Twitch account, on my About page, you can find all the information regarding these two new segments, Tuesdays and Fridays. And also just a quick shout out, I have a lot of cool links in my About. Like a lot of resources that can be used for students or non-students, doesn't matter if you're a student or not, but if you're just wanting to learn certain things. For the most part, they are tools that I used as a student or I'm currently using, such as R or R Studio, kind of like the language they use for statistics and things like that. I put that in my About as well. It's under Science and Educational Resources. So I don't even know where to begin. I'm really excited to start this. I'm really happy. I have no script or anything like that. It's intended to have no script or anything like that. It's supposed to be a really fun open chat. I realize that the first couple, I don't know how many it's going to take to actually get an active participation, but there's a reason why there's a huge block right there next to me. Let's see, this way. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. There's a reason why that block right there is empty right now. So active chat, or chat is active. Chat is, oops, I'm going to write it in there. Chat is active. Feel free to chat away here. Smiley face. So I can put it there and boom. So now we're going to have a chat also during gaming sessions, but during Science Friday and Taco Tuesdays, I'm going to have this type of format, and it's just going to be non-gaming. So that way we can kind of concentrate on the core of the discussion. And I do realize that some of the viewers maybe are listening or wanting to watch my streams to talk about the things I'm talking about, and they're not necessarily interested in the game. So I kind of wanted to open up a space for those people like that and welcome people in this sort of non-gaming environment. Just so I could be friendly towards those viewers and foster a better place to be chatting. So that way viewers might feel that while I'm gaming and they have a question that I might not put my full thought to it. And usually I prefer to put my full thought into it than to game. So even during gaming sessions, you'll see me pause. I'll kind of stop and be like, let me think about that. Because I just love interacting with people. And so I'm hoping that Taco Tuesdays and Science Fridays can foster even more communication, even though I've already lately been really enjoying chat and the few people have been stopping by and visiting. Okay, so Taco Tuesdays is going to be kind of a more chill version of Science Fridays. Science Fridays is going to be me mainly talking about kind of some of the science I currently learn. So I'm a graduate student right now in kind of merging multiple backgrounds, but basically social psychology and implementing sometimes some methodologies found in different fields like social cognition or cognitive psychology, neuroscience and stuff like that. So basically I just like to shortcut my title and call it like social neuroscience. And every Friday, as a graduate student, we attend what's called a seminar, and there professors from all over the world, from different universities, give chats. They're invited to give talks about their research and kind of let us know what's going on in different places that might not that differs from the research that we're doing in our university. And I just figured it'd be kind of cool to extend the reach a little bit more. Those professors that are traveling and they're kind of putting work into their presentations to disseminate their information, to kind of spread their information out a little bit beyond the academic journals that might have published and those who are reading them. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to give like a platform to just discuss the science with people who might not get access to those things. And that's kind of Science Friday. So today is going to be like a more low-key version of that. I don't want to downplay it today. Today is kind of open to more let the audience drive the discussions. At the beginning, I'm obviously going to be the one driving the discussions because there's no one here. But in the future, I'm hoping people would join these discussions and they can kind of drive this discussion because I'm trying to have kind of like a virtual office hours and have access to a current grad student. So any questions or any discussion points you want to talk about, let's talk about it. So that's why it's called Let's Talk About It Tuesdays. So yeah, at any point in Taco Tuesdays, this is the function, we can direct the conversation in a different avenue. It doesn't even have to stay in the realm of science and education. At the beginning, I'd be talking a lot about those things because that's kind of what I have experience with and I am very passionate about. So it's very easy for me to kind of pull up conversations and talk about it, especially because I can talk about a lot about my experiences as an undergrad and now teaching undergrads and what they're facing and the struggles that I see from the other side now. I feel like I have pretty good experience on both ends that I can pull a lot of my discussion points, like today's topic, feeling not smart enough. In the future, I think after getting some practice of doing this weekly, it'll be a lot more structured and faster, so I apologize for this long intro, but I feel like I have to introduce Taco Tuesday in general. I'm planning on posting these to YouTube, so I'm also going to be trying to keep that in mind, that there is going to be a VOD, and there's going to be people viewing this recorded instead of being here live with me. And that's totally awesome. I really appreciate those people that are viewing these recordings even when I'm offline and stuff like that. Especially if there's if you're just listening to me, I really appreciate your time. Just know that. Yeah, so today's discussion, I wanted to talk about something that frustrates me, and not in a bad way, but I don't want to say frustration, but more like this negative, almost like I feel like I've let people down. Something that affected me as an undergrad, still affects me to this day. I think it still affects a lot of people, and it's this feeling that you're not smart enough. And sometimes I feel like as an educator, some student tells me that in my own class, I just feel like, man, I feel like I failed them. Like I'm not connecting the material enough with them that they feel like they understand it, that they feel threatened by this information or something like that. And it's not always the teacher's fault either. That's just the way I kind of take it. Sometimes there can be a plethora of reasons why there might be a miscommunication between teachers and students. But I'm here to talk about two stories about this feeling of not smart enough. One is from my undergrad, and the second one is from my graduate school. So, Electric Facts, thank you so much. I see that. I don't know why it doesn't play. Oh, I didn't put on this page, but thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to tell a story about when I was an undergrad and encountering one of my best friends, that I heard this coming out of their mouth. I feel like I'm not smart enough for this subject. And I'm going to tell a second story about when in this story, I'm a graduate student, and I encounter a student of mine, so she comes in my office hours, and I hear these words: I feel like I'm not smart enough for this subject. And the outcomes of those two stories are completely different. So I'll begin with the first one. And before I begin, let me just take a quick swig of water. And any moment, if someone's in chat listening, feel free to say hi. The chat's active, and it's there. I put my example there. But anyway, so in the first story, I am an undergraduate, and I'm a pre-med. And as a pre-med, you have a lot of requirements to kind of your own checklist. You don't actually have, at least when I was an undergrad, pre-med wasn't a degree. You had to choose a degree and then take a checklist of courses that you needed to take, so that way you could do well on the MCAT, or the entrance exam to medical school. So pre-med, sorry. Pre-med is kind of, if you're not familiar with that term, it's short for I'm pre-medicine. Like, I don't go straight to medical school and I become a doctor. You have to do 4 years of undergraduate if you're not familiar. And if any listeners are out there not familiar with the American system, because I know that in other countries, after high school, you can go kind of straight into career in such as like law or being a lawyer or medicine. But in the U.S., typically, you need to do what's called a pre-law or pre-med. And so I was a pre-med, and two of my best friends, we all went to the same college. So there's three of us that we kind of we were friends since kids, and we went to the same college, and we were all pre-meds, all three of us. We all wanted to go to medical school. So we gather from advisors and from other people going to medical school and other organizations that we're part of what classes are important to take and which classes are hard. Like, you just kind of get to know those classes. And one of those classes that had this fame of being scary or hard was called organic chemistry, which, flash forward a little bit, ends up being my favorite class. Even till this day, it's still my favorite class I've taken. It is so awesome. I love organic chemistry. It will always have my heart. But okay, sorry. I had a quick plug for OChem there. And I'm not a chemist by any means, by the way. I'm not a chemist here. Psychology is my passion, social psychology and neuroscience, and I still will plug OChem whenever I can because that's been my favorite course. Okay, back to the story. So we're pre-meds, we find out OChem, and we all try to take it together, and we do. So as we're taking this course, the midterms start approaching and stress starts arising because in this course for OChem, it was a 7:30 a.m. course. There was that kind of this, you had to show up and be really tired. So, but the professor was he was one of the coolest professors, super kind. I tried to nominate him multiple times for like best teacher of the year because he was just extremely open to his students and so generous with his time to his students that like he's kind of one of the reasons I enjoyed OChem so much. So when the midterms start to arise, so I was saying his course starts at 7:30 in the morning, right? And so you're really tired, but he was really he recorded all of his lectures, so he allowed his students to not go to class and watch them whenever they wanted. But he highly encouraged us to go to class because he knew that us alone maybe not have the motivation to be watching his lectures, like a lecture on OChem or go to a party as a college student, right? Like, what's the obvious choice there? So the cool thing about going to classes with friends is you kind of create this social pressure, a positive peer pressure to go to class. So we kind of did that, and we were going to school together because we could carpool. We all lived on the same street, and we could carpool to OChem at 7:30, and it became kind of like a fun thing to do. You know, wake up, get coffee, and go to OChem. And so this course was really kind of driven of like self-motivation kind of type course. Like, you had to, if you didn't go to class and you weren't keeping up with your homeworks, the homeworks didn't count. They were more for practice. He tried to not stress us out with homeworks. So basically our grade boiled down to the two midterms and a final. And when the midterm starts to come, we obviously start to increase our study time. We weren't really studying that much. Like, if we had a month before the midterm, it's like you're not really going to study every day that much. You might have other midterms in different classes that are first, so you're kind of trying to prioritize. So OChem was one of those classes that 2 weeks before the exam, us three would kind of meet and maybe study for like 2 hours. And then as the days progress, like those study sessions would start increasing. But it's really the last like 3 or 4 days where we would just even do all-nighters. I am not promoting all-nighters by any means. It is not the healthiest for the brain, now that I've learned a lot more about the brain since those days. But I had the energy, and that was just kind of my method. I don't know. There seemed to be some method to my madness back then, apparently. Now I'm in a very different schedule and regimen. But sorry for going on tangents. I just get very happy talking about these things, so sometimes I'll just branch out. So we were approaching this midterm, so we started to increase our hours. And this friend starts to kind of be leaving our study sessions earlier and earlier. And finally, one of the nights, he kind of just gets up at, like after studying for like 2 hours. We were only 2 hours into it, and it was 2 days before the midterm. He kind of just gets up and he says to us, "Yeah, I'm done studying." And we're like, "What? We just like kind of started. We ordered a pizza. Like, what's going on? Like, we're about to like start having fun with the whiteboards because the thing I liked about OChem was we could draw. We had all these whiteboards to draw on, and we could just draw all our problems and listen to music and be chatting and stuff while doing problems. And so we were kind of like, hey, we were gonna do this like us three, kind of like, you know, and keep each other motivated and stuff. And he just looks at both my friend and I, who are kind of like a little bit not in shock, but we're kind of like, what? Kind of confused why he's leaving so early. And he says, look, like, I'm just not smart enough for organic chemistry. You guys are just really smart, and I'm not, and that's okay. And that just kind of, I just got taken aback, and I didn't know what to say. I really had no idea, like, that he had put us, my friend and myself, in such like a, I felt like he put us on a pedestal type thing, that we were like some sort of genius or something. And I had no idea how to react at the time, so I didn't really say anything. And now, knowing what I know now, I wish I could have said a lot to him. Maybe encourage him to stay for a lot of reasons, which I'm going to give in today's discussion. I wish I could have told him a lot of stuff, but he just hit me with that. And one thing I do admire about the way he said it, and I have to point this out, is that he just said, "That's okay." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." I didn't appreciate the fact how like calm he said it. Usually people, if they discover if they feel that way about their friends, they might try to be more aggressive, you know, because they might feel a threat. So I also realized, like, in that sense, he was very much like he had a very mature thought. But I also thought, now looking back on it, I kind of feel it was like an incorrect thought that he had, but I didn't know at the time. So I just kind of said, like, okay, but like I really feel like you could do it, and this guy could do it. I really think he was really smart, and he just was convinced he couldn't. So if we fast forward a little bit in his track here, it ends up that because he felt he wasn't smart enough for organic chemistry, he didn't end up taking the courses, and then because he didn't take the courses, he felt he wouldn't be able to pass the MCAT. And if he doesn't take the MCAT, he doesn't go to medical school. So basically his entire career just did a shift, and it just kept shifting from there. And now we don't need to talk about where he ended up now, but I'm just saying, like, something as a perception of not being smart enough can alter your direction so vastly. And sometimes it's just this moment of self-doubt that can cause this feeling of not being smart enough, that might cause this chain reaction of thoughts like, oh, and I also failed there, and I also failed there, and I also failed there. And then overall, now you start to believe that you as a whole person, maybe not even for this topic, but you as a whole person are not smart enough. And that can totally derail so many of your goals. And I just saw it happen before me. And this guy was really smart. He had the whole world ahead of him. And I'm not saying he ended up anywhere bad. Like, he's still a smart guy at the end of the day. His life didn't get thrown away or anything by any means. But he really was passionate. He seemed passionate about being a medical doctor and helping people like that. And his whole path changed. And I'm not trying to make this as a judgmental statement or anything, but it was based on this ill-conceived notion. That's what I believe, at least. I could be wrong, of course, but I feel that I could have done something because of the next story I'm about to tell you. So now you have to fast forward. I was an undergrad. Yeah, you have to fast forward like 5 or 6 years until when I finally get into grad school. It was a journey. I'm really happy. I think I am going to dedicate some Taco Tuesdays to my journey to grad school, for anyone listening that is interested in like what the process is going from college to grad school. But I'm always happy to talk about any process too, even if it's high school. Anyone listening who's a high school and has questions, I used to be one too, so yeah, can ask me that too. Anyway, so let's fast forward. I'm a grad student now. And I'm a second-year grad student. So I already did my first year. I've learned what it is to be a TA, a teacher's assistant. And if you're not familiar with what a teacher's assistant is, so undergrads, when they go to college, they're usually in kind of bigger courses, and there's only one professor. Sometimes if the course is really big, there can be 2 professors, but typically there's one professor. But there could be up to like 300 students for that professor. So that's way too much work for one person. So what they do is they get graduate students to help them. So if a course has like 300 students, you might have like 6 grads helping the professor with grading and other stuff he might need. And so sometimes there are 2 types of TA-ships or teacher assistantships. There's the shadow TA-ship. That's where you're basically just going to be grading so regardless of your type of TA-ship, you have to hold office hours. which is just like you hold about 2 hours a week. You hold what are called office hours, which is kind of what I'm doing right now, literally during COVID times. My office hours are like this, where you sit in a chat room. So before COVID, we would sit in an office where all the students knew, or all the students of the class we're TAing for knows where it's located. And we just sit there, and typically no one comes in. If you're shadow TA, no one even knows you because you're not really interacting with any of the students, so they don't even know who you are, so they're not really going to ask you any questions or bother you. They feel like they might be bothering you. That's what at least my impression has been with a lot of my undergrads. And they so office hours are kind of like what I'm doing right now. It's like right now I sit in a chat room, virtual chat room, and I kind of wait, and if people have questions regarding the class, then I help them. And it's kind of their time to ask whatever, talk about whatever. They can even talk about like non-class related stuff with us if they wanted to, but typically like they go to ask for help. So I'm TAing for a class called Behavioral Neuroscience, and this is a smaller class, so the students do kind of know me, especially because this professor does have me sometimes guest speak. Like I'll give some lectures sometimes. I love giving lectures whenever I can on stuff that I'm comfortable obviously teaching. But in this course, the students got to know me, so I was getting a frequent amount of students every week, and also it is a pretty tough course. So a lot of students feel pressured that like they need all the help they can get. And which is, I mean, it's really smart to go get help anyway. So I feel like when I teach or when I TA for courses that are not perceived to be as hard, my office hours are rarely filled. But this course, just know that it's actively filled. It's pretty active. So this student comes to see me kind of near the beginning of the quarter, which is rare because at like first day of class there are no real questions that they need or anything like that, unless it's something. The only type of issue or question someone would come ask me in office hours is like if they need some sort of accommodation, or if like, oh, I'm going to be gone these weekends, like can I do the test before, like that type of stuff. And that's usually taken care of with the professor. So it's very rare to get a student like very first week as a TA in your office hours. Kind of like right now, there's no one in my office hours. No, I'm just kidding. I think someone's here, so welcome if you are here. If anyone here is listening, welcome. And please, again, I'm going to stop really quick. Chat is active for if this goes on YouTube. I think it will. Remember to come to twitch.tv/shockpartygg if you want to join in on these discussions. They're going to be like this with music, chilling, stuff like that. But for the most part, I guess I'll just be narrating. So this student, so back to the story. So the student comes to me and in the very first week, and I'm like, okay, like it's going to be some procedural question, like how many tests are there, or something about her grade. And she looks a little worried, so I'm like, okay. She comes into my office and she says, hey, I just had a couple of questions, and she looked like she was trying to work up the nerve to ask me like a broader question. She was asking me kind of like minute questions, like, oh, am I gonna like need to know this, and this? And I'm like, okay, like, are you okay? And so finally she says, like, look, I feel like I'm not smart enough for this course, and I just kind of came to ask you about how much I needed to know because I don't think I can pass this class. I just feel like I'm not smart enough. And that's like the second time I heard that, where it's like, it just kind of hit me. I've heard it many of other times before, but these are the two instances I can recall when I want to compare two different situations very distinctly. And so I just remember feeling like, what? How? Like, it's first day of class. How do you already feel not smart enough? We haven't gone over material. I'm sure she read the syllabus, saw the textbook, and could start reading and see like that she wasn't going to understand anything. And that's something I wish I could tell to a lot of my college students when they're first starting out. And if you're a college student now, or if you're not even a college student, if you're starting off learning anything right now, that's the point, is you don't know what you're about to learn. So this feeling of feeling not smart enough is okay. It's totally fine. In fact, if you can even, if you acknowledge it and you accept it, then that can even open you up to be more, it can open you up to want to learn more, because now you're like, all right, I don't know this, let's learn, let's understand this. But the thing is that I've noticed about some students is they feel this pressure, that the social pressure from peers or something, that they should already know these things. And that's why I feel like this drove her feeling of her saying, I don't feel smart enough, to me. And so but this time when she hit me with that line, this time I felt way more equipped to deal with a question like that, or not a question, with a statement like that when I mentioned my friend back in my undergrad, and I had like kind of nothing to reply. So this time I said, okay, let's open up this question. Let's understand why you're feeling that way, because to be honest, it's the first day of class. Like, you're not certain what we're actually going to teach you or not. So how do you know you're not smart enough? Maybe we're going to just teach you 2 + 2 = 4. How you don't know that based on just the title of the chapters of your the literature that you're going to have to read, or the title of the class. You don't know what we're actually going to teach you, like the actual content. And so she's like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But like, I've just dealt with this before. So again, previous experience. She kind of had that chain reaction of negative thoughts. And there's actually studies that show kind of how that works. I'd love to talk about cognitive psychology. If anyone ever wants to talk about cognitive psych, it's not my forte, but I did have to take courses, and I still deal with cognitive psychology till this day. But again, sidetrack. So I say, okay, so if you've never taken this course, then how do you know you don't know that you're too stupid to take this course? And she's like, okay, well, I've never dealt really great with science courses. I'm like, I could just see a lot of self-applied stigmas, or self-applied stereotypes about herself. I could just see those festering in her head, like as if she felt that she shouldn't be able to understand this because that's what fits her identity. And I could just see that like festering in there. I'm like, okay, let me just tell you something really quick. I'm like, let me just change the topic. I didn't change the topic, but I just wanted to get her. I could just see that festering in her because she had just exposed. She just became very vulnerable with me, like really fast, and I admire that so much. Like, I can't believe someone's that comfortable with me that fast to just say, hey, look, I feel like I'm stupid, to a stranger, because this is the first time we've met. And so I was like, all right, like I need to first like kind of satisfy. She was feeling kind of really negative. I'm like, let's get her feeling positive, because I need to kind of get her into a positive mood for her to kind of see that this is a normal feeling. This is okay. Like, this is what you encounter in college. That's kind of the purpose in college, and to kind of turn this negative situation into a positive. That was kind of my goal. So I said, okay, let me switch the topic a little bit on you. So I asked her about Rome, because there's a really famous saying about Rome, but I've been seeing some of my students don't know this saying, so I like to kind of explain it to them sometimes. So I said, do you know the city Rome? She says, of course. And I said, okay, how long do you think that took to build? Did you think it took a day? And she's like, no, of course not. So like, okay, so there's that saying, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. But actually think about that. Think about what it took to build Rome and what it is. Just think about that and how grand it is. And think about that logic and how that applies to anything when we might be feeling down and comparing or doing a social comparison upward. When we see someone above us, if you're a streamer listening to me right now and you see those with thousands of viewers and things like that, remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. They didn't just turn on Twitch and instantly 1,000 people started pouring in. They didn't even hear about that streamer when they first started. How are they supposed to? Just like Rome, how do you just plot down, aside from playing a video game like Sims or something, how do you just plot down an entire city with thousands of years of history? You don't. You give it thousands of years of history. So what we learn here is that it's step by step, little by little. That's what Rome wasn't built in a day means. It's house by house, brick by brick, this city was built. Right? So we got to do that in our personal lives. So saying, you don't even have a bachelor's degree. So this feeling that you don't know this topic should be normal to you. In fact, if you were to come to me and say you're really confident about passing this class, I would be like, based on what? You're a freshman. You just started college. Based on what are you getting this notion that this class is going to be easy? You're about to encounter material that you may not have encountered in your life. And if you have, probably not under this context that you're about to be taught. So it's very hard to be a master immediately. In fact, that's as arrogant as saying you're going to be as smart as the person teaching it, because they're going to teach you to their best ability what they know. And so she started saying like, wait, yeah, like I'm here to learn. I'm like, you don't have a bachelor's degree. Just like I don't have my PhD yet. I'm in grad school, right? But I still can't teach like one of my professors because they still know more. They have experience on me. They have years of doing this. They have years of reading. They have years ahead of me. And that's fine. That's normal because I was born at a different time. I can't blame myself. And I shouldn't judge myself for not being smart enough because I simply don't have the experience yet. And why was she there? She was in college to get experience, which is one of my points I made back in a video I made, or a stream I recently made, kind of one of the purposes of college. Beyond getting the degree, one of the purposes of college is you're there to get experience, really valuable experience, in many different ways. And I love to have a Taco Tuesday on that too. So you could really start seeing her being like, wait, hold on. Being like, feeling like not knowing is normal. Like, I'm like, dude, that's right. And that's actually what drives science. And I was trying to say like, and I was saying like, you think I feel like I'm not all knowledgeable? I might seem all knowledgeable to you because I've already studied what you have, but it took me years to grasp it. Remember this, like I am way ahead of you in terms of years. And one day you're going to get that knowledge. You're going to be at my level. And then you're going to see someone coming to your office hours and you're going to say, I remember being in your seat, right? It's because it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. So let's fast forward to her a little bit. So here she's still in college since I had this situation. So I can't like tell you, oh, major career, awesome this, awesome that. But the thing is, she actually went on to pass this class with an A+. Or with an A. I don't think we actually offered pluses in the class. But she actually went on to pass the course with an A. It became very easy because, and I'm not going to say it was my doing. It was all her doing. It was all hers. All she had to do was just remove this self-barrier, this barrier that we can impose on ourselves of not feeling smart enough. Well, when you approach anything new, how are you supposed to be a guru, right? We might feel that way sometimes. And there's some controversy behind this plot, but there's something called the Dunning-Kruger effect. I haven't read up on all the literature, so I don't really have a scientific opinion on it. But intuitively, as a social psychologist, it makes sense, which is kind of this feeling. It's a graph that looks, that kind of has this exponential curve up, peaks, and then comes back down, and then does a linear line up. So at the beginning of something, when you start to get the hang of something, you feel like you're becoming a master, and this is kind of called the peak of ignorance. This is where you think you know everything. And then finally you learn just enough to know that you don't know anything. And that's when your kind of self-esteem in that subject plummets. And you find that a lot of college students, when you teach them, are at this peak of ignorance because you'll hear comments such as like, my professor's so stupid, like I could do this in a heartbeat. You're like, and if you really stop to think about it for a second, how could you, as a 18-year-old, know more about a topic that the professor's teaching? Unless that professor is put in a topic that they really don't know, which really rarely happens. That would be weird. But how can an 18-year-old, unless they're a genius? I'm not going to negate the possibility of a genius, but the odds of every single college student being that genius is very low. They're in college to become geniuses. I do believe that, anyone, if they really want to push themselves with it and learn it and just expose themselves to it, can become like a genius status, if you will. But that all depends on your definition of genius as well. So that's a whole different discussion as well, intelligence and all of that. I'm just here to say that I often encounter people that keep saying they are not smart enough for something. And going back to my friend who told me that and I had no response, I really wish I could have told him, dude, just because like you perceive me understanding this and you not, doesn't mean I actually understand it. That's your perception. I'm just faking. There's a lot of people say fake it till you make it, or the imposter syndrome, right? Grad students get this all the time, where we look like we know what we're saying, but internally we're also like freaking out, like, oh my god, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I hope this is right. We all get that sudden panic attack sometimes. We get it. So I just wish I could tell them. And yeah, some people, and I do want to say, some people will learn faster than others, and that's okay. That's individual differences. You might learn something faster than they might in a different context, and they might learn something faster than you in a different context, right? And that's okay. And that's what I really admire about my friend saying, I'm not as smart as you guys, and that's okay. It's kind of like that realization, like, that's totally fine with me. But the thing that bothered me is that he changed a lot of his passions because he accepted this thing that I really feel that he could have taken on. I really feel that when people are saying, I'm just not smart enough for this, a lot of the time, it is a self-imposed barrier. Any comments? I'd love to hear them. That's kind of what I wanted to chat about today. Yeah. This is fun. 37 minutes, cool. In that case, I wanted to test out Taco Tuesday. I'm gonna leave the stream a little longer. I'll keep talking. I don't think I'm gonna post to YouTube though, because I want it to be truncated. Yeah. Water break really quick. Let's give it. We'll give it 30 seconds to see if anyone heard anything and wants to ask anything, make a comment. Yeah, put a chat in there. Okay. In that case, I think for the remainder of Taco Tuesday, so far I think I'm going to plan it to be about an hour. But sometimes it might just go half an hour, sometimes it might go over. It'll definitely go over if people are interacting and stuff like that. But for now, because it's just going to be mainly me narrating, I don't think I can improv enough material to keep like hours on end of material going. But let me, because the title of this stream is a message from a grad, let me just say, I want to say some my own personal experiences of not feeling smart enough, because this, I gave 2 anecdotes or stories of people saying that to me, right? And kind of like, oh, and how I reacted. But how about like when Shark felt not smart enough? And this happens to me all the time. Actually, it happens to me on a daily basis. So there's your little secret sauce. I do feel like I've gone through the motions of the Dunning-Kruger effect, such that like I did feel I was on the peak one time. Like at the time, I was like, I'm really getting a mastery of this. Wow, I feel really on top of the material. And then you learn a little bit more, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's like 3 different levels. There's like 80 different levels to this. There's no way. Oh, and you start to lose your confidence in that. So I feel like I'm steadily gaining it back, and that takes time. And that's my whole message here. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time. So that's what I always remind myself, and that's why sometimes I appear confident. I feel like a lot of my colleagues around me sometimes they'll rate me like as like this really confident person that knows what they're talking about, when internally I'm like screaming. I'm like screaming to myself, what am I even talking about? Even now as I speak. Just I hope that can comfort someone some way. Just know that although on the outside I might be appearing like I'm really confident, extroverted, and all these things, there's a lot of moments where I'm screaming on the inside. There are times where I'm giving presentations at school, and even though I've rehearsed and all of these things, and I just think this is a human condition. I don't think this is only happening to you. It happens to all of us. So whoever's out there listening, and you feel like college is too tough on you, and you're not smart enough, just remember, keep going at it. I'm going to share, I really love sharing this story actually. This is the OChem story of when I put into practice Rome wasn't built in a day without realizing that quote or any power of it. So basically in OChem, and I love talking about OChem because it really shows like a lot of, I don't want to say life lessons, and I also don't mean to sound preachy. I don't want to sound preachy at all. I am a graduate student, and okay. Quick timeout just to give some backstory. So sorry, everybody. Just backstory. Today is all over the place. I promise future Taco Tuesdays are going to be way more organized and way more streamlined. Today is just pilot day. So quick timeout. So as a graduate student, so I guess I should mention to any new listeners or anyone that has never heard or knows anything about me, the purpose of my channel. Let me promote that really quick. I should really do this at the beginning. I'm just noticing that, and I should write a note to myself about that. But the purpose of my channel is, before I started streaming, I started feeling this built-up pressure from just being engaged with people around me or social media, and it was a negative built-up pressure that I felt I needed to vent somewhere. And this negative pressure was building up because of a lot of just negative or like mudslinging or just dragging science's name through the mud, or like just a lot of name calling towards science that was coming from a place of absolute ignorance, like of people just not understanding what science is, the goals of science, how we do it, how we publish, and things like that. Like, I started seeing a lot of people believing that science has this agenda to push. Some people believe that we have an agenda to exterminate everybody. Other people believe that we have an agenda to control everybody. And this leads to a lot of people questioning education and questioning academic centers and questioning science and questioning and being against it and even promoting going against education and knowledge. And I understand some people come from the point that it's the organizations behind them, and that's a whole different point. But people are attacking the pursuit of knowledge itself, which is kind of what science is meant to do. Science is that in action, is the pursuit of knowledge. That's what it's supposed to be, of course. I'm not trying to blanket statement and say all scientists are pure. Of course, we're human. Some scientists are going to be very biased. Other ones will try their hardest to not be as biased as possible. But just like any other group of people, you do have your bad apples. But I just want to present. I want to have a channel to present science in a positive light, because I've been seeing on social media in a very negative light across so many different ways and so many different platforms and so many different name calling of science and scientists, and just this there seems to be this on top of the COVID, seems to be this virus spreading of people promoting not learning. And again, I'm not here to chat about institutions and institutions' agendas, like, trying to make money for themselves or something. I'm here to talk about science and the pursuit of knowledge and education and learning. So regardless if you're learning by yourself or learning at a college, I'm talking about the pursuit of knowledge. That's what I'm here to talk about, and that's what I'm here to preach, if you will. But I don't want to sound preachy. I want to have a conversation. I'm not trying to convince anyone to my side. I don't feel like this is a side. I feel like the pursuit of knowledge is something that we should all strive to do. And I just think it's beautiful. I think with our life, it's something beautiful that you can do is keep learning, and you can learn in so many different forms. This is why on my channel, I don't only talk about college, and I don't only promote learning through college. I will always promote things like travel. Traveling can engage you in other people's cultures and languages, and you can learn so much just from being immersed in those things. Even though you might feel there's a language barrier, how could you possibly learn? You're going to learn something. I promise you that. I have traveled to a lot of countries in my life, and again, I'm never trying to gloat here. I say my own experiences to give my listeners, whoever's listening, a reason to believe me. I'm not just trying to pull things out because I'm speculating. I am a scientist at heart, and I will try as my best to not say anything without any sort of evidence. A lot of my chats may be subjective, of course, and some of the things that I might say may not apply to you. A lot of the things I might say are generalities, and that's okay too. If it doesn't apply to you, that's why this is a discussion. That's why I invite people to discuss with me and also put up their experiences, saying, look, though you may have said this, that didn't work for me. And the more data points we can get from people, the better. The more of an average we can get. That's what I strive for. So I'm putting myself out there on the internet as a data point for people. So I never try to sound like I'm gloating. I'm trying my best not to sound that way. But I do feel like I need to back up what I'm saying with some personal experiences or with some actual scientific evidence if I'm going to be talking about data or science. That's just me. So I'm giving you a heads up. So through travel, I've been to countries I didn't speak the language. I showed up to Germany to live there, thinking I knew something. This is the peak of ignorance, right? Only to find out instantly on the street I knew nothing of German. And I was in a land that I had no idea anything. I only knew the stereotypes. I only knew the stereotypes of Germany before I moved there. I had such not bad. I had such different thoughts about Germany before moving there and living there for a little bit. So I learned so much, and that didn't require college. So I'm not here to be promoting institutions, although I will say colleges have been at the pursuit of knowledge and teaching for a long time, so that's a great shortcut instead of doing everything yourself. So I'm not going to put down colleges, but I'm not here to try to say you have to pay into your education, or I don't want people to start debating me on the ethics of colleges and how much money influences them and stuff like that. I'm here to talk about science and the pursuit of knowledge and endeavors that just grow us as humans. And I love to give it the neuroscience spin when I talk. Things like that. So again, my chat is always open to any discussion regarding anything. Yes. So So yeah, so back to this channel's kind of purpose. I'm just gonna keep talking about that. I feel like for the first Taco Tuesday, maybe we should give a lot of motivations. And I'm just realizing it's starting to turn a little dark in my apartment. So let me turn on the lights for my apartment so we can get better lighting. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Okay, um, so I've been seeing a lot of science. I've had when I see these, sometimes I think they're trolls, sometimes I don't. When I see these people online talking kind of ill of science or education, universities, things like that, because I've seen people saying universities are all in some sort of conspiracy to dumb the people down, which totally blew my mind. Totally blew my mind. I had to respond because I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? I had to like get him to elaborate because I felt like I really didn't understand his statement, but that is what he was trying to say. So I was just blown away by that. And so basically, Twitch, chat, YouTube, whoever's listening, I really, and especially as I take science to heart and I really value the pursuit of knowledge and education, and I'm very passionate about teaching or helping in general. I just really I find a lot of that it helps you a lot when you help others. And I'm not trying to sound preachy. I'm never going to go religious, I'm never going to I'm never going to go into beliefs. That's not what this channel is for. This is for discussing things like things that we can talk about and that we can all experience, and things that we can agree on, things like that. Not to promote like that. If you disagree with me, I'm going to censor you. Not at all. But I'm not here to discuss beliefs or religious type things. But I do know of the neuroscience of helping. This is why I'm saying helping can even help you. There's some level of egotism there, if you will. But that's for a different day. So I started seeing me as like a scientist, that I really believe in science. I really believe that it just promotes so much good. And I'm gonna put on a different playlist. Let's go here. No. Let's go here. Let's get this guy going. Do that, and then we'll do that. Okay, we got music back on. Cool. Okay, so I really do believe that that science provides so much for us, and so when I see people like really criticizing it, I first try to approach it with like, maybe they just don't know what science even is. I think they have a misconception. That's usually my approach. Is like, I feel like they have a misconception of what science is, because I do realize that not everyone has had the same experience as me. That's what I've learned through college and through studying social psychology and neuroscience and all that. We study perception and the perception of others and things like that. And so obviously not everyone's been to college, so it's like maybe they've never been exposed to the scientific method, or maybe all they know about science is what they see in the movies, that it's just some crazy people in the back with test tubes wanting to control the world, and that's what they believe. And I'm not judging them. Like, it's I don't know their whole story. I don't know where they came from. I don't know who they are. So I'm just like, all right, let's see why you think that. That's usually my approach to comments that kind of take me by surprise. Like, wait, hold on. You think all of science is a collusion to dumb down the people, like science, to dumb down the people? So my first approach is like, okay, let's see why they think that. I need to find this out. I need to kind of collect my evidence or collect my data to understand them, to come to a conclusion before I can like really, if I see like how I can discuss it with them, because I don't know. Also, they could be a troll. This is the internet, after all. They could be a troll. So you ask them, okay, why do you think that? Usually trolls don't spend so much time trying to provide sources or their whole like or the whole train of logic. So yeah, so you usually say, okay, why do you think that? What evidence do you have that made you think that? So a lot of the time, this is when I get insulted, and that's fine. Okay, you can insult me. I'm just gonna not talk anymore. I'm like, okay, well, this is no longer civil. There's no point. That's gonna be a waste of both of our breaths. So let's just save both our time, and like have a good day. Like, but if you want to have a civil conversation, I always welcome it, even if you oppose my views. That's the point of science. We always debate and discuss, and we discuss our ideas, even if they may conflict, and we try to just go with whatever has the most evidence. And so yeah, I was really starting to feel like I didn't have an outlet. I couldn't vent anywhere because we're in COVID too, and if I vent to my friends, well, they're all kind of in the same boat I am, right? And so I just felt like I needed my voice. I needed to vent my voice out there to the internet to say, guys, so stop like taking things so for, especially education. Stop taking it so for granted. It's provides so much for you. Let's remember this. Let's take a second to think about what we're saying. And I want to provide a channel on which people can just address any questions. So like these people that might be doubting science, and I know they're not the most motivated. I get it. I study this social psychology. There's a social psychology model. You can Google it now. It's called Fazio. It's by Fazio, and it's called the mode model. You have to have motivation and opportunity if you're going to execute X behavior. Like you have to take into account your motivation, and if you have the opportunity to do something. This is mainly in the literature of attribution and kind of engaging in something called the corrective process of your attributions, and I've had a chat about that on one of my streams where one of the people in the channel was asking about my dissertation, and I had to go into some of the theories regarding my dissertation. And so, oh man, now I lost my train of thought. So I'm trying to invite people, and I know the people that are opposed my views aren't going to be motivated to come here, but those people that are the flies on the wall. This is why I sometimes engage in conversations online, even though I'm not going to convince the person I'm talking to directly, even though I know that no one's standing up for science. And there could be young viewers or young readers, or there could be people that are very impressionable, or people that are like don't really know how science works, and they kind of know a little bit and they're kind of swaying. It's those people that are reading the comments is the reason that motivates me to do things like this. It's the people that are like, okay, like I kind of doubt science, but I've never really listened or studied. And I don't want to. Like, I don't expect, and I don't judge anyone who's not going to go out of their way to read textbook upon textbook to understand science. I get it too. I totally get them. That's fine. So here I am. I am making myself available, so that way, if people are doubtful or they want help, even like, how did you get to grad school? What did you do? What are some of the barriers you faced? How did you get to college? How did you get through high school? Any age group. Obviously, if you're much older than I am, then maybe I have some questions for you on how to get through life. I don't know. But that's what Taco Tuesdays are going to be about. That's what my channel is generally about. I want to put that out there. This is at any moment, even if I'm gaming, please let's talk about it. Taco Tuesday can take place anytime, but I think if we had a scheduled time, this can help also people predict when it's going to happen to better engage and stuff like that. And if I give it some themes, then maybe we can encourage talking a little bit faster. But of course, I'll always do the talking if no one's talking, like right now. So this is that channel. This is what I would call a virtual office hours for people. I'm gaming because I want to set the tone that this is a very chill channel. I joke a lot. If I am going to talk about serious things, I will either turn to something like this. This is why I started the Taco Tuesdays, because I want people to also know that I am serious about these things. I'm not just trying to use science to promote my name, but the other way around. I'm trying to essentially sell myself and attract people so I can get people to listen to the science and to listen to what's going out there and to be informed in a way that doesn't cost them too much energy. All you have to do is chill, listen, maybe listen to some music. We can pause, talk about something else. You can even vent to me. Please, I'm here. I'm here and I'm open to anything. You can read some of this stuff in my about. And if you're listening to this on a different platform that's not currently Twitch, twitch.tv/sharkpartygg. I hate saying those things because they sound like I'm advertising. I don't like that, but I want to be open-minded about who may be listening to this. So that's where you would go if you want to read up on the things I'm mentioning. In my about, I have kind of like my background, my degrees, things like that. My schedule for 2 segments, the Taco Tuesdays and the Science Fridays. I used to have all this other information. I just really filled it out, and it just seemed so big. So I have all that down there. Then you can also browse through the videos, the VODs, or the videos on demands that are made through my normal just streaming. Some of those, if they're not tagged with any sort of title like, oh, today we're talking college, then it's just probably going to be purely gaming. But I generally try to always incorporate something helpful or not helpful. Well, yeah, if I'm gaming a Warframe, for example, I might be giving you Warframe tips while I'm gaming, but that'll be for people specifically watching me for Warframe and not this. But my main goal is talking about science, learning, education, and anything like that. Whew, let's take 30-second, let's take a minute, 30-second break. I'm going to sit here, 30-second break. Let me catch my breath. And we'll let anyone type anything if they have any comment regarding anything I've said so far. 30 seconds. I'll play a waiting song here. Okay. So, I think I'm going to wrap up this this session, today's Taco Tuesday. This has been a big learning experience for me. I have a couple mental notes I need to jot down soon on organization type things. For anyone listening right now, thank you for bearing with me through this. This might be a painful one, so I'm very sorry. It's been all over the place. Next time, I'm going to probably have a little bit more structure, and I've learned a little bit from here. Have my talking points like on a second monitor and just go through them. So it'll be a little bit more organized and not so spread out on my thoughts. But I will make sure it's still mostly like improv, because I do not want this to sound, I don't want people to be too shy to talk to me or ask questions. If people are seeking help, please ask questions. So I'm going to continue to try to be like ad-libbing everything. And yeah, so thank you anyone who's been bearing with me. If you're listening to the recorded version still, again, thank you so much for listening. Just seeing that people are actually viewing these, regardless if it's a pod or not, I don't even know. But even if you are listening to this, thank you so much. I'm going to just continue to do this. And these Taco Tuesdays and Science Fridays, I will be posting on my YouTube. Those are probably going to be those two will be basically posted just so if people want to catch up, or if like there's a topic I talked about one week that they wanted to listen to, they can. It's literally just going to be the downloaded version of this. I don't have the patience right now, or the bandwidth, I should say. I don't have the bandwidth to be editing everything to make it like YouTube beautiful. So it's just going to be like I'm just going to post the stream direct to my channel. Yeah. Let's see if anyone has anything while I think of the last wrapping up comments. Because I want to wrap up with a not smart enough message. So while we wait for that. So this Friday is going to be my pilot of Science Fridays. I'm going to try to talk a little bit about Halloween-oriented stuff. We'll see how that one goes. I do believe this Friday's Science Friday will be way less, I'm not going to say formal. None of them are going to be ever formal. I don't want this, like I've been repeating over and over again, I don't want this to be a super formal thing. No. This Friday's isn't going to be as science-driven as other ones might be, where I might have just listened to a lecture and I can talk about those specific methodologies. This one, I think I want to have fun with it because it is Halloween. We should have fun with it. So I will try to do that. And that's going to be this Friday. And all the scheduling, again, is down in my About Me. I post everything on Twitter for the most part. Today was an impromptu Taco Tuesday. I had been previously advertising that I was going to begin Taco Tuesdays next week on Tuesday, but I just decided to pilot one today and see how it went and kind of learn from it. And then what else did I want to say? Shoot. Yeah, so that you can read about. Oh, the Twitter. That's what I was mentioning. So I typically put on my Twitter like um, that I'm either about to come online, or I kind of post that before I come online, and then from here on out, I probably will have a timer on my stream of how much time is left before I go like the cam goes live. So my stream is always going to go live before I do. Okay, so I think that takes care of those announcements type things, organizational type things. Cool, cool, cool. So to wrap up, so I told the story of my best friend who said he wasn't smart enough, and he ended up changing careers completely. And then I told a story about a student of mine that said she wasn't smart enough and ended up acing the course. So that to me, even though these are two very different people, I still believe that my other friend that uh, decided not to take OChem could have aced it easily. And I just think that is kind of an anecdote or a kind of a story, or if you want to call it a lesson, in that sometimes the perception or our own perceptions can be our greatest enemies, if you will. That can totally be life changing, even at this moment of doubt to himself. I think that caused a chain of reactions. And so just remember, sometimes when you're feeling not smart enough, just really think about it. Think about, are you a beginner right now? Are you trying to build Rome in a day or not? Because Rome was not built in a day. Just remember that. So keep trying. Keep practicing whatever you're doing. Keep at it, and it'll go. I promise. Hold on for 30 seconds before I cut the stream, just in case anyone has any closing remarks. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and if you listened to the entire recorded video, thank you as well. I really appreciate it. Have a good evening, everybody.